Very good morning to all of you guys. I hope you are doing good. In the last two sessions, we discussed process costing, wherein we started initially with the meaning of process costing. Thereafter, we discussed what is normal loss, what is normal loss, what is abnormal loss, what is abnormal gain. Thereafter, we discussed a full-fledged questions wherein it was covering the entire part what we discussed in the first session. Further, we discussed abnormal loss account also, abnormal gain account also, normal loss account also. Thereafter, we started with the question wherein there was an inter-process profit involved. Further, after that, the last part what we started was relating to work in progress, that is what is work in progress and how to value work in progress. So that part is very important, and today in this session we'll be covering the remaining part of valuation of work in progress. Few more points. What if in case opening work in progress is given? What if in case normal loss is given? What if in case abnormal loss or abnormal gain is given? So we'll be discussing the remaining concepts one by one. Very good morning, everyone. So now, I explained you in detail the concept of equivalent number of units. We discussed two questions also on equivalent number of units. Now let's take one more situation where an opening work in progress is given. Let me discuss a situation wherein, let's say, opening work in progress is given, that is 5,000 units. The units that were in process at the year end, that is the last year, and the units that are still in process at the beginning of the year, that is 5,000 units. Inputs made during the year, let's say 15,000. Now, so we have total 20,000 units in end as the inputs or opening work in progress, whatever it is. From these 20,000 units, let's say 17,000 units were transferred. And 3,000 units are still in process. Now the major question is how to value these 17,000 units and 3,000 units. Earlier, we were making an input, we were getting an output. Apart from this, certain units were still in progress. Now my point is, these 17,000 units, 3,000 units value कैसे किया जाए? Because there may be situation wherein these 17,000 units may be transferred from 5,000 units as opening WIP and 12,000 units can be from the units that are introduced during the year. Apart from this, there can be a situation wherein these 17,000 units can be transferred from inputs, that is entire inputs are transferred, that is 15,000, and the balance from opening work in progress, that is 2,000 units. So my point is which approach to follow. Similarly, in this case also, both the situations are possible, that these units may be left out from the opening work in progress also, or maybe from units introduced. So my point is which approach to follow. Very simple, guys. So guys, these are the possibilities of valuation of units transferred and closing work in progress. So these can be different. This can be a different situation. Now my point is which approach to follow. So ICAI has suggested two approaches. Either first FIFO method and second one is weighted average method. When talking about FIFO method, it is first in, first out. It means what? When talking about these 17,000 units transferred, the units first we are getting is 5,000 units, that is opening work in progress will be transferred, and the balance units that will be transferred from the units that are introduced during the year. So this is FIFO method, that is first in, first out. So firstly, we were having 5,000 units, so these will be transferred, and the balance unit, that is from 17,000, 5,000 were from opening work in progress. So balance units will be transferred from these 15,000 units. So the total inputs, that is 12,000 units, will be completed and transferred to the next process. As far as weighted average method is concerned, I will be discussing this with the help of the practical question. So in short, what I want to discuss is, if in case opening work in progress is given, the point is how to value units transferred and closing work in progress. Two approaches are suggested by ICAI. The first one is FIFO method and second one is weighted average method. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me. Else we will start with the question wherein we will be discussing FIFO methods as well as weighted average method. Very good morning, everyone. I'll be discussing Shivam, don't worry. So I repeat again, guys, if in question opening work in progress is given, very simple, two approaches are possible for valuation of units transferred and closing work in progress. The first one is FIFO method and second one is weighted average method. FIFO method, the name itself says first in, first out. That is units that we got first will be transferred first. So if in this situation, if it is a FIFO method, 5,000 units will be transferred from opening work in progress and balance units that will be transferred from the units that are introduced during the year. So those who want to copy this explanation that why this process, why this method, you guys can copy, else we'll start with the next question of my material, what I have provided. I request you guys to please download the material. The same question is not there in the study material. I'll be discussing example number 5, that is the basic of equivalent. So in the meanwhile, those who want to copy this part can please copy, further download the material what I have provided. So this is the conclusion of what we have discussed till now. So guys, let's start with example number 5, that is equivalent basic question. Following information is available regarding process A for the month of January 2020. Units in process, that is at the beginning of the year, on 1st January 2020, 4,000 units were there. When talking about how much percentage it was completed last year, it is given that material is 100% complete of material, and as far as labor and overheads is concerned, we have completed 1/3 of the work. The cost records are given wherein the value of opening work in progress is 8,000. Separate cost of material, labor and overhead is given, that is 6,000, 1,000 and 1,000. Further, the cost during the month is given for material, labor and overheads. Prepare the statement of equivalent production, statement showing cost for each element, statement of apportionment of cost, and process account for process cost account for process A using both FIFO method and weighted average method. Sir, there is a lag in the video. Admin sir, are you there? वीडियो में लैग आ रहा है काफी. I request you guys to please refresh your internet connection. I hope I am audible and visible to all. So guys, let's start with the example number 5 of the material what I have provided. So here, let's prepare process account first. Now, opening work in progress is given, that is 4,000 units. And the value of these 4,000 units is given, that is 8,000 rupees. Inputs made during the year were 16,000. And the cost of material is given as 25,600. The cost of labor and overhead is given, that is 15,000 and 15,000. Since in this question there is no normal loss and abnormal loss, so simply by process B, how many units were transferred? 16,000 units. By closing WIP, that is 4,000 units. So now the question is how to apportion this cost, that is 15,000 plus 15,000 plus 8,000 plus 25,600 among these two. How to apportion these costs, this cost that is incurred, that is the total cost is how much? 25,600 plus 8,000 plus 30,000. How to apportion this 63,600 among these two? How to calculate the value of the units that are transferred to the next process and closing work in progress. You can use these words interchangeably, that is units in process and work in progress. So both the things are same. Swati, I request you to please download the material what I have provided. I am discussing question number, example number 5th of the material what I have provided. I request you guys to please download the material. Very good, Shivani. So now we'll be discussing first FIFO method. Wherein we'll prepare statement of equivalent production. Since in this question the percentage of completion of labor and overhead is same, so taking one column only, labor and overheads. So let's start, guys. Sorry guys, it's a mistake from my end. It's 6,000, 16,000 and 14,000. Sorry guys, there was a mistake from my end. The units completed were 14,000. So by process B 14,000 and by closing work in progress 6,000. Now let's start with the FIFO method. Now guys, the units transferred were how much? 14,000 units. When talking about these 14,000 units, since we are using FIFO method, so 4,000 units are transferred from opening work in progress and balance 10,000 units were transferred from units introduced. I repeat again, guys. Since we are using FIFO method and the total number of units that is transferred is 14,000, so what we will do is 4,000 units will be transferred from opening work in progress, because the name itself says first in, first out. So 4,000 units will be transferred from opening work in progress and 10,000 units will be transferred from units introduced. So let's account for the units transferred. Wherein from opening work in progress Total 4,000 units were transferred. Now guys, very important, it is given in the question that opening work in progress was 4,000 units, which were already completed last year. How much? As far as material is concerned, 100% units were transferred 100% work was done in respect of material. So my point is, this year, nothing is to be done in respect of material. I repeat again, guys, my opening work in progress is 4,000 units. As far as the percentage of completion till date is given, it is given that material is anyways 100% complete. So my point, material is 100% complete last year. So my point is, as far as this year is concerned, हम लोगों को material में कुछ भी cost incur नहीं होगा for these 4,000 units. So my point is, as far as material is concerned, 100% material part is already introduced last year, so no cost is incurred in respect of these 4,000 units this year. As far as labor and overheads is concerned, 20% it was completed in respect of labor and overheads last year. So talking about this year, 75% will be completed this year. So 75%. I repeat again, guys, many students find difficulty that, sir, why 75%? So I repeat again, guys, when talking about 4,000 units, material part 100% complete last year ही हो गया था, तो इस साल हमें material में कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. As far as labor and overheads is concerned, 25% जो complete है वो last year ही हो गया था. So this year 75% activity need to be completed. So that's why I have written 75%. We are calculating equivalent number of units. Further, when talking about 14,000 units, 4,000 were from opening work in progress, and balance units started and completed. How many units? 10,000 units. So 100% material was introduced in respect of these 10,000 units, and since they are transferred to the next process, so it means what? They are completed during the year itself. So 10,000 into 100%, that is 10,000. So this is all what about the units that is transferred, that is 14,000 units. Now let's talk about closing work in progress, wherein the units in process at the year end were 6,000. Now my point is, units introduced were how much? Total 16,000. Out of this, 10,000 units transferred to next process. So 6,000 units is closing work in progress. This 6,000 is units. This 6,000 units, that is the closing work in progress. ये किस में से है? The units that are introduced during the year. It means they are raw units. Everything is to be done in respect of these 6,000 units. So in this case, as far as the percentage of completion is concerned, हम लोगों ने 100% material 6,000 यूनिट पे इंट्रोड्यूस कर दिया है. So 100%, that is 6,000. And as far as the percentage of completion in respect of labor and overhead is concerned, it is 33.33%. So this will be 2,000. So the total equivalent number for material is 16,000, and for labor and overhead it is 15,000. So this is how the statement of equivalent production is prepared. Now, whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post the queries. Waiting for your queries. Manthanjali, Rajiv Das, Tanishka, Shivani, Anu Gupta, any doubts? Rafika, I repeat again, guys. It's a very simple question wherein the input maids were 4,000 and the opening work in progress was 4,000 and the input made were 16,000. So total we have 20,000 units. Out of these 20,000 units, 14,000 units were transferred to next process and 66,000 units were still in process at the year. Now, when talking about these 14,000 units, 4,000 units were from opening work in progress and 10,000 units were from the units that are introduced during the year. Now, when talking about 4,000 units, they were 100% completed in respect of material. मतलब मटेरियल में इनका 100% काम कंप्लीट हो गया था लास्ट ईयर ही, तो इस साल हमें कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So that's why I have taken nil. When talking about labor and overheads, 25% ही काम लास्ट ईयर हुआ था. तो इट मींस व्हाट, सीधी और आसान भाषा में 75% काम हमें इस साल कंप्लीट करना है. So that's why I have taken 75%. So 4,000 into 75%, 3,000. When talking about 10,000 units, they were started during the year and they were completed during the year. So 10,000 units into 100% and 10,000 units into 100%, that is 10,000 units. Now, when talking about closing work in progress, ये closing work in progress कहाँ से लिया होगा? From the units that are introduced during the year. So, when talking about these 6,000 units, they were from the units that were introduced during the year. So, when talking about how much percentage of completion is there, as far as material is concerned, it is 100% complete. In respect of these 6,000 units, 100% material हम लोगों ने input कर दिया है, मगर labor and overheads अभी भी 33% ही complete हुआ है. So when talking about closing work in progress, material is 100% introduced in respect of these 6,000 units. So 6,000 into 100%, 6,000. And as far as labor and overhead is concerned, only 1/3 of the work was completed. So that's why we have taken 2,000. Now, waiting for your queries. Shivani, when talking about why I have taken 100%, because these were from the units that were introduced during the year. It means हम लोगों ने जो ये क्लोजिंग वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस है, ये जो 100% काम मटेरियल का ये इसी ईयर में किया है. When talking about opening work in progress, the name itself says it is an opening work in progress. It means what? The closing work in progress of last year. और बताया गया है कि as far as material is concerned, 100% काम जो है ये 4,000 यूनिट्स पे लास्ट ईयर ही हो गया. Apart from this, labor and overheads, 25% work was done last year, so 75% work need to be completed this year. Very good, Madhuri. I just want to make sure everyone is thorough with the concept. Shivani, Siddhappa, Preeti, Akash Neel, Kaveri, Yogita, any doubts? Shivani, hopefully your doubt is resolved. Siddhappa, any doubts? Manthanjali? Manthanjali, see, when talking about the percentage of completion is concerned, काफी केसेस में होता है कि मटेरियल 100% पहले ही इंट्रोड्यूस हो जाता है. लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ शर्ट वेयर इन फैब्रिक पूरा का पूरा यूज हो जाता है, बट स्टिचिंग पार्ट कई बार अनफिनिश्ड रहता है. आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड. सो द परसेंटेज ऑफ मटेरियल एंड लेबर कैन बी डिफरेंट. Very good, Harsh. Hitesh Jain, where are you, my dear? I repeat again, Siddhappa, when talking about material, 100% was completed last year itself. It is given in the question, the percentage of completion. So material was 100% completed last year, so nothing was done this year. As far as labor and overhead is concerned, it was 25% completed last year itself. So 75% will be completed this year. So now let's calculate the cost per unit part. Nidhi Parikh, in example number 4, there is a query. Sir, in example number 4, you have taken completed percentage, and in example number 5, you had taken remaining percentage. Why? Nidhi, very important. In example number 4, there was no opening work in progress. There was closing work in progress. See, Nidhi, in case of closing work in progress, जितना परसेंट काम हुआ है मैंने लिया है. See, as far as closing work in progress is concerned, I have taken 6,000 into 100%, 6,000 into 33.33%. So I have done the same thing in respect of closing work in progress. But the new concept is opening work in progress. So in case of opening work in progress, jitna complete hua hai, it means it was completed last year. For this year, how much activity is done? The total 100% minus the work completed last year. So as far as material is concerned, 100% last year he complete ho gaya. So no. As far as labor and overheads is concerned, it was 25% completed last year. So this year we will be completing the 75%. As far as closing work in progress is concerned, I have did the same thing what I did in last question. No, Pooja. I request you, Nidhi Parikh, to please refer the last question and this question also. As far as closing work in progress is concerned, my approach is same. But yes, my approach is different when there is an opening work in progress. So now statement showing cost of each element. Starting with material, the total material cost that is incurred during the year is 25,600 divided by equivalent number of units, that is 16,000. As far as labor is concerned, these 16,000 and 15,000 units represents the work done during the year. So that's why I have taken 25,600. Further, the labor cost is 15,000 divided by equivalent number of units, that is 15,000. Overheads also 15,000. Yes, Preeti Panchal, you can follow this format. So now we have got the cost per unit, that is rupees 3.6 per unit for 100% completed units. Now, statement showing apportionment of cost, the last part, that what will be the value of units that are transferred to the next process and what will be the value of closing work in progress. So let's start. Statement showing apportionment of cost. Very good, Madhuri. Very good, Vikas Bansal. Your answer is incorrect. Yes, now it is correct. Very good, Hitesh Jain. Now, very important, guys. Statement showing apportionment of cost. So let's start with units transferred. When talking about units transferred, 4,000 units from opening work in progress. Now, the cost of opening work in progress is given in the question, that is the cost incurred till last year was 8,000. Apart from this, these 4,000 units were processed in respect of material and labor, and 75% work was done during the year. So, when talking about balance work completed, the equivalent number of labor units is how much? 3,000 units into 1 rupees. And overheads also. So the total cost of these 4,000 units, that is the opening work in progress, is how much? 8,000 plus 6,000, 14,000. This is the total cost. That is the cost incurred last year plus the cost incurred this year. That is total 14,000. Plus units started and completed. Very simple. Total 10,000 units were started and completed. $10,000 units into 1, 2, 3, 3.6. The cost will be 36,000. So the total cost will be 36 plus 6 plus 8. So this will be 50,000. When talking about closing work in progress, very simple. As far as material is concerned, the equivalent number of units is how much? 6,000. So material 6,000 into 1.6. Labor 2,000. The equivalent number of units are 2,000 into 1. And overheads 2000 into 1. That is 13,600. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. If you guys have any queries as far as this question is concerned, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. And I request you guys to copy this solution. This is the best way to present the solution. So I request you guys to please copy the solution also. And in the meanwhile, those who have any queries can please post your query. Pooja, see, I have taken opening work in progress values separately, that is 8,000. So to opening work in progress 4,000 and 4,000 units, and the value of opening work in progress is 8,000. Nidhi Parikh, sir, for opening work in progress, we have taken the remaining percentage. Nidhi, see, when talking about the statement of equivalent production, it means what the percentage of work completed during the year. So here in this case, when talking about 4,000 units, 100% मटेरियल का काम पिछले साल ही हो गया था. इस साल इस मंथ में क्या हुआ था? No. So that's why I have taken nil. As far as labor and overheads is concerned, again 25% complete. जो 25% was completed last year itself. So it means what? 75% work was completed this year. So this statement is of equivalent production is for this year. In this question, this month. And when talking about how much percentage of work completed this month, these equivalent units represents the same. Very good, Hitesh. Very good, Mantanjali. Very good, Shivam. I request you guys to please copy this sum. Anyone else having any doubts? Rajiv, can you please elaborate your query? Pooja sir, my doubt is why 25,600 divided by 16,000? See, Pooja, these 16,000 and 15,000 represents the work that is completed during the year. I repeat again, this 25, 16,000, 15,000 is the work that is completed during the year. So when talking about the cost, it is the cost that is incurred during the year. That's why I have taken 25,600. Yes, Madhuri. This 8,000 is given in the question, Rafika. Can you please elaborate your query, Akash Neil? As far as the statement of apportionment of cost is concerned, when talking about the units that are transferred, that is 14,000 units were transferred. When talking about 14,000, 4,000 units were from opening work in progress. अब ये जो 4,000 यूनिट्स हमारा ओपनिंग वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस है, इसमें कुछ काम लास्ट ईयर ही कंप्लीट हो गया था, तो उसका कॉस्ट कितना था? 8,000. जो काम लास्ट ईयर कंप्लीट हो गया था, दैट इज 100% इन रेस्पेक्ट ऑफ मटेरियल एंड 25% इन रेस्पेक्ट ऑफ लेबर एंड ओवरहेड्स. ये काम हमारा लास्ट ईयर ही कंप्लीट हो गया था, तो वो कॉस्ट ऐड कर देंगे. प्लस ये जो 4,000 यूनिट्स है, इस पे और कितना नया काम किया? वेरी सिंपल. एज फार एज मटेरियल इज कंसर्न, कुछ भी काम नहीं किया, बिकॉज इट वाज ऑलरेडी कंप्लीटेड लास्ट ईयर. एज फार एज लेबर इज कंसर्न, द इक्विवेलेंट नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स इज 3,000, so 3,000 into 1 and 3,000 into 1 in case of overheads also. So total cost of opening work in progress, these total cost of these 4,000 units is how much? The cost that is incurred last year, that is 8,000, plus the cost that is incurred during the year, that is 6,000. So the total cost of 4,000 units is how much? 14,000. Now the remaining 10,000 units, very simple. The cost per unit is 3.6. So 3.6 into 10,000, 36,000. Now let's start with the closing work in progress. Very simple. As far as material is concerned, the equivalent number of units are 6,000. So 6,000 into 1.6. Labor is 2,000. So 2,000 into 1, that is 2,000. And overheads also equivalent number of units are 2,000. So 2,000 into 1. So this is 13,600. Yes, Tanishka, I can read your messages. Those who have not downloaded the question, I request you to please take the screenshot for the same. This is example number 5 of the material what I have provided. This is the first page, so I request you guys to please take the screenshot of the first page. And this is the second page. Kaveri, I have calculated this 50,000 value. As discussed previously, there is one more approach to calculate the value of closing work in progress, wherein material cost is 1.6 per unit. So 1.6, it is 100% complete, so it will be 1.6. As far as labor is concerned, the work was completed only 33.33%. So 1 into 33.33%. That is 0.333. Overheads also 1 into 33.33%. So this is 0.333. So the total cost is so this closing value of closing work in progress can be calculated as per this method also. Both the approaches are correct, but the method I discussed first is the easiest one and it will save time also. So no need to follow this approach while writing the exams. Very good, Hitesh. So guys, now let's proceed further. Where in the same question we'll be discussing using weighted average method. I'll be discussing the same question using weighted average method. So now, when talking about weighted average method, no need to do bifurcation that how much is the opening work in progress, how much were the units introduced. Simply, very simple guys. This is a comparative. When talking about comparison, this method is much more easier than the FIFO method. No need to bifurcate that how much was opening work in progress, how much was from the units introduced. Simply write units transferred. How many units transferred? 14,000. 100% completed units were transferred. So 14,000. Here also 100%, 14,000. Closing work in progress. Very simple. Total 6,000 units were in process, which were 100% complete in respect of materials. So 6,000. And as far as labor and overheads is concerned, they were 33.33% complete. So this will be 2,000. So the total equivalent number of units will be 20,000 in this case and 16,000 in this case. No need to do the exercise that opening work in progress was that much completed last year, this was completed this year, so and so on. So this is what about weighted average method, that is the statement of equivalent number of units. Now there is a class work for you. You guys have to calculate the cost per unit. Apply your brains and try to calculate the cost per unit. I'm giving you 2 minutes time. I've got answers from Hitesh Jain. Vikas Bansal. Now, guys, when talking about the statement of cost per unit, when talking about the calculation of cost per unit, very important, guys, here we have taken 14,000, that is 100% complete. It means what? This weighted average method covers the work that has been done last year plus the work that has been completed this year. So when talking about the calculation of cost per unit, we will add the cost that is incurred last year plus the cost that is incurred in the current year. So when talking about material, I repeat again, in the earlier method, the equivalent number of units represent the work done this year. But in this weighted average method, these 20,000 and 16,000 units represents the work that has been completed last year as well as this year. So as far as the calculation of cost is concerned, we'll be taking the cost that is incurred last year plus the cost that is incurred this year. So herein, the cost that is incurred last year is how much? In respect of material, that is 1,000 plus 25,600 divided by equivalent number of units, that is 20,000. Labor also the same thing. The cost that is incurred last year, sorry, this is 6,000. The labor, that is the cost incurred last year plus the cost incurred this year divided by 16,000. Plus overheads also the same thing, that is the cost that is incurred last year plus the cost that is incurred this year divided by 16,000, the total number of units. So herein the cost will be 1, 1, and 1.58. So this will be 3.58. Very important, guys. Why I am adding the value of opening work in progress? Do make a note of it, guys, that these 20,000 represents what? The work that has been completed last year plus the work that has been completed this year. So that's why I have taken the cost that is incurred last year plus the cost that is incurred this year. So now, statement showing apportionment of cost. Units transferred, how many units were transferred? 14,000. So 14,000 into 3.58. So this is 50,120. And when talking about closing work in progress, very simple as far as material is concerned, 6,000, the equivalent number of units into 1.58. The labor, that is 2,000 into 1, and the overheads, that is 2,000 into 1. So this is all what about weighted average method. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me. Yes, Pooja. So if you guys have any queries, doubts, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. I request you guys to please copy the solution. Please copy the solution, guys. See that we have calculated the value of units that is transferred is 50,120 and the value of work in progress that is 13,480. Archie Gupta. Rafika Memon, sir, how come 1,000 it is given in the question? As far as material is concerned, the cost incurred last year is 6,000. And as far as labor and overhead is concerned, the cost incurred last year is 1,000 and 1,000 respectively. Very good, Imanshu. Very good, Jayanti R. Himashri, very important here. We are adding the units, the percentage equivalent units that were completed last year. So that's why we are adding the cost also that is incurred last year. I request you guys to please copy the statement first. I'll be preparing the statement in a different way for more understanding. So I request you guys to please first copy this part. First and the foremost thing, guys, this is the best approach to solve the question using weighted average method. But alternatively, after preparing the statement as per FIFO method, we can convert it into weighted average method. So for more clarity, I'm preparing the statement. But from examination point of view, please don't do such type of stunts. It's just for understanding that why I'm adding this cost. So guys, what we did in FIFO is very simple. That is units transferred from opening work in progress, 4,000 units were transferred. As far as material and labor is concerned, nothing was done. As far as overhead, labor and overhead is concerned, 3,000. Thereafter, units started and completed 10,000 units. that were 100% complete. So 10,000 plus 100% complete, 10,000. As far as close, this is how we were getting 14,000 units as transferred. Further, we were adding closing work in progress also, that is 6,000 units that were 100% processed in respect of material, so 6,000, and 33.33% work that was completed this year, so 2,000. So that is what we did in FIFO method. Now, if we want to convert this statement into weighted average method, very simple. We will add the work that has been done last year. This is how we got 16,000 and 15,000. Now herein, if we add the work which has been completed last year, this statement will be converted into weighted average statement. So when talking about the work that has been completed last year, the opening work in progress was what? How much? 4,000 units. Now, how much work was completed last year? 100% in respect of material. That is 4,000 last year. As far as material is concerned, 100% work was done last year, that is 4,000. And as far as labor and overhead is concerned, 25% work was completed last year. So 25%, that is 1,000. So now we'll get 20,000 and 16,000. So after preparing FIFO, the statement as per FIFO method, we can convert it into weighted average method. But I suggest you not to follow this approach, because if there is an abnormal loss, abnormal gain, then yes, it might be a bit confusing. So herein, if we add the work that has been completed last year, so we will get the statement as per weighted average method. So since this 20,000 represents what? The work that has been completed this year plus the work that has been completed last year. So that's why we are adding both the cost. Those who want to copy this statement for your reference can please copy. I request you guys to please copy this statement. Many students were saying, sir, why we have added 6,000, 1,000 and 1,000. So this 20,000 is what? The work that has been completed last year plus the work that has been completed this year. Rajiv Kumar Das, a good question. As far as from examination point of view, the examiner will clearly specify which method to follow. But still, if the question is silent, I suggest you to use weighted average method, because when talking about FIFO method, some information is required in the question. Let's say, what if in case the percentage of work completion is not given in respect of opening work in progress? We cannot apply FIFO method. I repeat again, if the percentage of work completion in respect of opening work in progress is not given, we cannot apply FIFO method. So still I suggest if the question is silent, better apply weighted average method. It's comparatively more easy. Anyone else having any doubts in FIFO and weighted average method? Waiting for your queries, guys. So I repeat again, these 20,000 units means what? The work that has been completed this year plus the work that has been done last year. So Himashri, Yogita, Archie Gupta, Poonam Sharma, Preeti, any doubts? Mantanjali, Ritika, Tanishka, Tirumala. I hope you guys are thorough with this concept that why I have added the opening work in progress cost also to calculate the cost per unit. Anyone else? Else I'll be moving towards the next part of the chapter. So I request you guys, if anyone having any doubts, can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. So guys, now we are done with the basic of equivalent production. That is wherein in a particular question, if opening work in progress is given, then how to solve the question. Now guys, what if in case if abnormal loss or abnormal gain or normal loss is given in the question? So I'll be discussing this situation after a break. So let's take a break of 10 minutes. Then I'll be discussing a question wherein what if in case abnormal loss, abnormal gain or normal loss is given in the question. So let's take a break of 10 minutes and then we'll start with the next question. Archie Gupta, the process account will change. I repeat again, these values will differ if there is a FIFO method and weighted average method. In the FIFO method, it was 50,000 and somewhat 13,600. And in weighted average method, it is 50,120 and 13,480. Rest all, everything will be same in process account. So let's take a break of 10 minutes and then we'll start with the next question. Admin sir, are you there? Welcome back, guys, after a break. So now there is a query from Archie Gupta sir, why these amounts are changing. Archie, earlier we were following FIFO method of pricing to, FIFO method to value the amount, the units that are transferred to the next process. And now we are using the weighted average price. You can see that the cost per unit has also changed. So this amount is going to be changed, my dear. So now let's proceed further with the next part of the chapter. Admin sir, please keep it on mute, sir. So now what if in case if normal loss is given in question, a normal loss is given in the question and abnormal gain is given in the question. When talking about normal loss, if normal loss is given in the question, it will be ignored while preparing statement of equivalent production. As far as abnormal loss is concerned, I repeat again, as far as normal loss is concerned, it will be ignored. It will be ignored while preparing the statement of equivalent number of production, equivalent number of units. Further, if abnormal loss is given, guys, we have to consider it in statement of equivalent number of units. Further, the percentage of completion will always be given in the question. Percentage of completion will be given in question. As far as abnormal gain is concerned, we have to always assume that 100% complete. As far as abnormal gain is concerned, we have to assume it as 100% complete. I request you guys to please copy this part. When talking about normal loss, ignore it while calculating equivalent number of units. As far as abnormal loss is concerned, yes, we have to consider, plus the percentage of completion will always be given in the question. As far as abnormal gain is concerned, we will assume that it is 100% complete. I request you guys to please copy this part. So now, guys, let's start with example number 6, that is equivalent advance. So following details are related to the work done in process A of XYZ company during the month of March 2020. The opening work in progress is given, that is 2000 units. Material in respect of opening work in progress is given. Labor in respect of opening work in progress is given. Overheads are also given. Further, the material introduced in the process is 38,000 units. Direct labor is given. Overheads are given. Units scrapped is total 3,000 units. And the percentage of completion is given, that is 100% in respect of material and 80% in respect of labor and overheads. As far as opening work in progress is given, 2,000 units are there. As far as degree of completion is concerned, material is 100% complete and labor and overheads work was done up to 60%. Further, closing work in progress is given and the degree of completion is also given in the question. Units finished and transferred to the next process is 35,000. The normal loss is 5% of the total input, including opening work in progress. The scrap value is rupees 20 per unit. You are required to prepare the statement of equivalent production, the statement of cost, the statement of distribution of cost, process A account, normal loss and abnormal loss account. So guys, let's start with this question. It's a lengthy question and it covers the entire chapter what we have discussed till now. It covers the basic process account, it covers normal loss account, abnormal loss account. Apart from this, it covers statement of equivalent production. It has opening work in progress also in the question. So let's start. It's a complete package and it covers each and every point in detail. So let's start with example number 5 of my material. Very good, Vikas. Let me check the same. So now we'll start with process account. So do opening work in progress. Opening work in progress is given that is 2000 units. And the total cost of opening work in progress is 80,000 plus 15,000 plus 45,000. That is 1,40,000. To input made during the year. So to material, the total input was made during the year is 38,000 units. And the cost for the same is 14,80,000. Further, direct labor is given that is 3,59,000. Overheads are given that is 10,77,000. Further, by normal loss, that is 5% of opening work in progress plus units introduced. So 40,000 into 5%, that is 2,000. Units transferred to process B. It is given in the question. So units transferred to the next process is 35,000. Further, closing work in progress is also given, that is 2,000 units. The scrap value of normal loss is given, that is rupees 20 per piece. So 2,000 into 20, that is 40,000. So the total we have 48,000 units in hand. Out of this 48,000, 35 were transferred, 2,000 was normal loss and 2,000 units are still in process. it means there is an abnormal loss of 1000 units. So now the question is how this cost, that is the total cost minus the scrap value, will be allocated among these three. So now the total cost is to be apportioned among these three. So let's start, guys, wherein we'll start with statement of equivalent number of units. Particulars, total, material, labor and overheads. Now, guys, I am preparing this statement as per weighted average method. So let's start with weighted average method. If we are left out with some time, we'll be discussing as per FIFO method also. So now, very simple, guys. We'll simply write units transferred that is 35,000 units were transferred. So 100%, that is 35,000, 100%, that is 35,000. So this is done. Now, as I told you guys, we have to ignore the normal loss. So no need to consider normal loss. Now let's start with abnormal loss. Now the abnormal loss is of 1000 units. And see, in this question, it is given in the question. It is given in the question that the degree of completion of units scrapped is 100% in respect of material and 80% in respect of labor and overheads. Now, this part is also done. Now, next is closing work in progress. And that is 2000. And the percentage of closing work in progress is given in the question. That is again 100% and 80%. So now we are done with all the entries. So let's calculate the total equivalent number of units. That is 38,000 in this case. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me, else I'll start with the calculation of cost per unit. So now let's start with calculation of cost per unit. As far as material is concerned, the cost that is incurred last year, that is 80,000. $80,000 is the cost that is incurred last year plus the cost incurred this year, that is 14,80,000. Now, very important, guys, whatever the scrap value that is realized on sale of normal loss will be deducted. Very important, guys, whatever the scrap value that is derived on sale of normal loss will be deducted. So herein 40,000 will be deducted. That is the scrap value. Don't forget this, guys. Always the scrap value will be deducted from the material cost. So 80,000 plus 14,80,000 minus 40,000. So that is 15,20,000 divided by 38,000. So this will be rupees 40 per unit. As far as labor is concerned, very simple, guys. The cost incurred till date is 15,000 plus the cost incurred during the year, that is 3,59,000 divided by 37,400. So 15,000 plus 3,59,000 divided by 37,400. So this will be rupees 10 per unit. Similarly, overheads also. The cost incurred in opening work in progress 45,000 plus the overheads amount this year 10,77,000 divided by 37,400. So this will be rupees 30 per unit. So the total cost will be so now statement of apportionment of cost. So when talking about units transferred, very simple, guys, 35,000 into 80. 28 lakh. When talking about abnormal loss, as far as material is concerned, the equivalent number of units is 1,000 into 40. As far as labor is concerned, the equivalent number of units is 800 into 10. So 72,000. Sorry. As far as closing work in progress is concerned, Material, the equivalent number of units are 2000, that is 2000 into 40. Labor is 1600 into 10, and overheads are 1600 into 30. $1,44,000. So this is the way, guys, you have to solve the question. The important part is this part, that is the scrap value. So scrap value on sale of normal loss will be deducted from the material part. When talking about how come the scrap value, the normal loss is 2000 units into 20. So this is how I got 40,000. I repeat again, this 40,000 is the scrap value of the normal loss. Very good, Hitesh. I hope, Mr. Raghavan, your query is resolved. Very good, Tanishka. Very good, Vikas Bansal. Very good, Jayanti. So, if you guys have any query relating to this question, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. And those who want to copy this presentation can please copy. Simran Sharma, when talking about abnormal loss, see the units for the abnormal loss, equivalent number in case of material is 1000 into 40. Labor 800 equivalent number of units, so 800 into 10. And equivalent number of units in case of overheads is also 800, so 800 into 30. So 24,000 plus 8,000, that is 32 plus 40, that is 72,000 is the total cost of abnormal loss. Miss Jyoti, you can apply any of the method if the examiner, if the question is silent. Further, very important, my dear, if the percentage of completion of opening work in progress is given in the question, then only we can apply FIFO method. Herein in this question, the percentage of completion of opening work in progress is given, that is 100% and 60%. Suppose if in question this information is not given, you cannot apply FIFO method. You have to apply weighted average method. So please read the question carefully. If the examiner is specifying you to use a particular method, then use that method. Else better is weighted average method लगाओ और खत्म करो. It is not that time consuming also. Thank you so much, Prabhas. Mr. K, I don't know your name, Mr. K, because Mr. I think it is Prakash. So Prakash, these three amounts are nothing but the apportionment of the total cost. And when talking about total cost, the total cost is 30,56,000 minus 40,000. So these three figures are nothing but the apportionment of total cost, that is 30,56,000 minus 40,000, that is 30,16,000. So anyways total same ही होना है यार. Kaveri Pagare, everything will be same. Just you have to take 100% and 100% in respect of material, labor and overheads. Further, abnormal gain is added, abnormal loss is added and abnormal gain is to be deducted. That's it. There is no change. Rajiv Kumar Das, Tanishka, Shivani, Rafika, Chetra, Mantanjali, Archie, any doubts? Waiting for your queries. In the meanwhile, I request you guys to please copy the solution. Kaveri, any doubts? See, there is a query from Kaveri, sir. Should we ignore scrap value 20 per unit and scrap? See, Kaveri, to be very frank, the unit scrapped is given as, one second, let me take the question. The unit scrapped is total 3,000 units were scrapped. Out of this, total 3,000 units were scrapped. Of this, 2,000 units were normal loss and 1,000 units were abnormal loss. If it is an abnormal gain, very important guys, if it is an abnormal gain, first and the foremost thing, these figures will be deducted. First and the foremost thing, if it is abnormal gain, these figures will be deducted. Second thing, we'll be taking 100% and 100% completion. That's it. Rest all no change. Thank you so much, Rajiv Kumar Das. Siddhappa, Yogita, Archie, Vanati, Preeti, Poonam, any doubts? Miss Kohli, Pooja, Rekha, any doubts? Archie Gupta, any doubts? Yes, you can, Preeti. Don't worry, my dear. And thank you so much. Now, guys, for more clarity, I'll be discussing this question using FIFO method also, so that by the end of this session, you guys are thorough with the concept and you will be able to solve each and every questions of study material. Plus, do make a note of it that do solve all the past examination question and specifically the questions of old practice manual. So, guys, now let's start with this, the same question using FIFO method, wherein Archie, do make a note of it that these figures will change. So let's start this question using FIFO method again. We have to calculate these three figures and these three figures will be changed. So let's start, guys. Yes, Mr. Prashant, such type of questions the examiner do ask in exams. I'm discussing FIFO method also, Avishka, don't worry. So now let's start, guys, with the FIFO method in the same question. Statement of equivalent production. Particulars. Total. So guys, let's start. Now the total units transferred were 35,000. These 35,000, since it is a FIFO method, so 2,000 units were transferred from opening work in progress and remaining 33,000 units were transferred from the units introduced. So let's start. Units transferred, that is total 35,000 units were transferred of this. Opening work in progress is 2,000 units. And the percentage of completion, till date, that is last year this much work was completed. How much? 100% in respect of material and 60% in case of labor and overhead. This much work is already completed last year. So when talking about this year, no work is done on material because 100% was already completed last year. And labor and overhead, it was 60% completed last year. It means 40% work was done this year, and this cost represent this 3,59,000 and 10,77,000 represents this 40% completion plus the other units that were completed during this year. So 2,000 into 40%, that is 800. Thereafter, units started and completed. That is 33,000. So 100%, 33,000, 100%, 33,000. Now, the accounting of 35,000 is done. This part is done. Now, abnormal loss. $1,000 is the abnormal loss, and the percentage of completion. This will be completed. This 1,000 and 2,000 units are from the input that is made during the year. That is the only raw material part. So the percentage of completion in case of abnormal loss is 100% in respect of material. So 100%, that is 1,000, and 80% in case of labor and overheads. So 80%, so this will be 800. As far as closing work in progress, it is 2,000. So it will be the same 2,000. 100% process was done in respect of material. And as far as labor and overheads is concerned, it is 80% complete. So 1,600. So 3,000 plus 1, 36,000. This will be 36,200. Very good, Vikas Banshal. Very good, Akash Neel. Now, the statement showing cost per unit. Statement of calculation of cost per unit. When talking about material, very simple. This much units work, this much are the equivalent units of the work done during the year. So we will be taking the material cost for this year only, that is 14,80,000. Don't forget to reduce the scrap value, that is 40,000. Divided by 36,000. Similarly, for labor, straight away 3,59,000 divided by 36,200. For overheads also, $10,77,000 divided by 36,200. So this will be rupees 40. This will be 9.92. This is how the cost per unit will be calculated. If you guys have any queries in this part, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries. Very good, Hitesh Jain. Now next is a statement showing apportionment of cost. Statement showing apportionment of cost. First, we'll calculate the cost of units transferred. This is the most tricky part, wherein we'll take opening work in progress, that is the cost that is incurred till date, that is 1,40,000. So balance work completed on opening work in progress. In respect of labor and overheads, the units are 800 into 9.92 and overheads also 800 into 29.75. Plus units started and completed, that is 33,000 units, into the total cost, and that is 40 plus 9.92 plus 29.75, that is 79.67 into 33,000. This is 26,29,110. So the total cost of opening work in progress is the sum of these two, that is 140 plus 31,736. So this will be 171,736 plus the cost of 33,000 units, that is 26,29,110. So the total cost is 28,846. 28,00846. As far as the calculation of abnormal loss and closing work in progress, the calculation is very simple. You can calculate it on your own. That is abnormal loss 1000 into 40 and 800 into 9.92 and 800 into 29.75. Similarly, In case of closing work in progress also 2000 into 40 plus 1600 into 9.92 plus 1600 into 29.75. Very good, Hitesh Jain. So this is the way you have to solve as per FIFO method. The purpose of discussing FIFO method is for more clarity and for more understanding what if in case if abnormal loss is given or normal loss is given, how to solve FIFO method. So that's why I have discussed this part. So if you guys have any queries, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries on this question. In the meanwhile, I suggest you guys to please copy this part also. When talking about this figure, units transferred from opening work in progress, 2000 units were transferred and the cost is 1,40,000 that is incurred till date, plus the additional cost that is incurred, that is for material, no cost is incurred in this year. As far as labor and overhead is concerned, the equivalent number of units are 800. So 800 into 9.92 and 800 into 29.75. So this is how I got the total cost of opening work in progress. Swati. $12 marks, Pooja. Very good, Hitesh. Hitesh has got the answer for abnormal loss and the closing work in progress. Very good, Hitesh. Shweta Jain, can you please help me out? What exactly you are not getting with? As far as the last part of apportionment is concerned, units started and completed is how much? 33,000. So 33,000 into 79.67. This is the cost of units that are transferred. That is the unit introduced and transferred. As far as the opening work in progress is concerned, the cost that is incurred till date is 140. Plus the additional cost that is incurred during the year is how much? For labor, 800 into 9.92 and 800 into 29.75. Very good, Shivani. Very good, Mantanjali. Shivani and Mantanjali has got the answers for abnormal loss and closing work in progress. Jyoti Vader, sir, opening work in progress percentage 40%, how it came? Jyoti has discussed in the previous question also, 60% काम पिछले साल ही complete हो गया है. That is, it is given in the question that opening work in progress is 4,000 units, which were 100% complete in respect of material. As far as the labor and overhead job is concerned, it was completed till 60%. It means what? 40% we are completing this year. Very good, Akash Neel. Tanishka Batra, sir, scrap units are 80% completed last year. See, when talking about these, see how it works is, total there is an opening work in progress of 2,000 units and material introduced is 38,000. So total we have 40,000. Out of this, 35,000 units were transferred. I'll be needing more space for your understanding. I'm erasing this part, guys. See guys, total we have 40,000 inputs in our hand, that is 2,000 plus 38,000, that is 40,000. Out of this, 35,000 units were transferred. 2,000 from opening WIP and 33,000 from inputs. Very important guys. So we are left out with balance 5,000 units. Out of this 5,000 units, these 5,000 units are from 38,000 because opening work in progress is already transferred to the next process. So the balance we are left out with is with 5,000 units. Of these 5,000 units, 2,000 is normal loss, 1,000 is abnormal loss, and the balance 2,000 units is closing work in progress. So all these three items are from the inputs that are made during the year. So whatever the work done on these three categories, that is closing work in progress and abnormal loss, that is the work that is done during the year. That's why I have taken straight away 80%, 80%. So Ms. Tanishka Batra, hopefully your doubt is resolved. So when talking about abnormal loss of 1,000 units, very important Tanishka, these 1,000 units are from the inputs that are made during the year. Further, the total units that are scrapped are 3,000. Out of this, 2,000 is the normal loss. So this normal loss is basically, if normal loss is given in the question, the product cost will be inflated. That's why I have not taken in this table the normal loss. As far as abnormal loss, the proportionate cost that is apportioned to abnormal loss units is to be transferred to costing P&L, my dear. Himashri, see what I have done. I have directly added the total opening work in progress here while calculating units transferred. Yes, Nidhi Parikh, you can solve the question in similar way in exams also. Examiner will not be deducting any of your marks. So you can solve, you can present the solution in this way also. It is the best way of presenting in the exams. Anyone else having any doubts, queries, confusion in this question? You guys can ask me. We are done with this chapter. The chapter is complete from my end, but still it is incomplete from your end. You have to practice a lot. Try to solve each and every question in writing. I assure you guys, you will be able to solve all the questions. Each and every question of process costing. But the thing is, just solve each and every question step by step. If the question is relating to equivalent number of units, just follow the steps. Prepare process account, prepare statement of equivalent production, solve the question patiently. Don't rush. So thereafter start with statement of equivalent production. Thereafter calculate the cost per unit, and thereafter apportion the cost among the various things, that is either units transferred or abnormal loss or closing work in progress. But the thing is, you have to practice a lot. मैं पढ़ा रहा हूं, आपको सब अच्छा लग रहा है, but when solving, you will face some or other sort of difficulties. So I request you guys to have some patience, relax, and try to solve each and every question in writing. After practicing 3 to 4 questions, you will be able to solve the questions in this way. So I mean, no need to rush. Have some patience, patiently solve कीजिए, सारे questions solve हो जाएंगे. So Miss Sinha, Nidhi, Akash Neel, Rafika, Madhuri, Jyoti, Kaveri, Pooja, Rajiv, Milton, Mr. Prashant, Himanshu, Shivam, Akash Neel, Ankur, Jyoti, any doubts, any queries, any confusion, you guys can ask me. I'm done with the explanation part, my dear. Yes, Hitesh Jain, this chapter is very, very important from examination point of view. In every attempt, you will see one question of process costing. And when talking about the weightage, most important part is this part, that is the concept of equivalent number of units. Examiner do ask question on equivalent number of units only. Yes, Mr. Prashant. The remaining answers are 71,736 as calculated by many of the students. And 143,472. Each and every students were able to answer this correctly. Yes, Rajiv, you have to practice a lot. Again, I repeat, guys, try to solve each and every question in writing at least twice or thrice before exams. I assure you guys, you will be able to solve the paper within 3 hours, and you will be able to solve the paper very easily, well within the time. Because many students face this problem that they are not being able to complete the paper. The major problem with the student is that they don't practice in writing. So try to solve each and every question in writing. I assure you, you will be able to score 75 plus marks easily in costing. Thank you so much, Rafika. Thank you so much, Mantanjali. Madhuri, just follow the steps what I have taught you. You will be able to solve. Yes, Pooja. There may be some rounding of difference, my dear. So the difference is because of round off. So you can either put the rounding of difference in the abnormal loss also, Rajiv. I need to calculate. Actually, many students are finding it difficult. I have to calculate the cost also. Just guys, try to solve it, else I'll give you the final answer in the next session, because even I haven't calculated the abnormal loss and the closing work in progress. If there are any difference in the final total, you can put it in abnormal loss. So hardly there is a difference of 54 rupees. Yes, Chatra. Rupesh, Vinod, by Bhimani, instead of asking such questions, better focus on what I'm teaching in the class. So if you have any queries relating to the topic, what I'm discussing, that's fine. Else, don't ask these questions and waste your time and my time, my dear. It's a part of material cost. Rekha. So guys, done for today. Thank you so much for your time and patience. Thank you so much for solving the question in the live session with me only, especially Madhuri, Tanishka, Shivani, Hitesh Jain. So try to solve all the question in writing. You have Saturdays and Sunday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 3 days time. So you can solve each and every question of study material and practice manual. And if you guys have any query, if some time is left out in the next session, I'll try to address your queries relating to process costing. So let's meet on Monday with a fresh chapter, that is joint and byproduct chapter, a very easy chapter from a very easy and a very small chapter. So let's meet on Monday, guys. Till then, enjoy your weekend. Take care. See you soon, guys. I'm done with the session, sir. I'm offline now, no?